to another episode of the Who Dat Jedi podcast. We are the Who Dat Jedi Council. I'm Aaron, and with me, as always, is Dave and Fredo. How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty good.
Yep, going well.
It's episode 116. And by the way, I'm not trying to do my best Barry White impression. I'm a little under the weather. But like my percussion professor said in college, if you're half dead, you're half alive. Get to work. So here I am. But I'm not going
to get enough of your love, baby.
Yeah, I'm not going to drink any whiskey because you'll hear a clunk in the middle of this podcast, and then Aaron won't be on it anymore. So, but anyway, here we are. Yeah, Dave's got something that looks yummy. I don't know if Fredo's got anything.
Not really.
So, okay, so a couple of interesting little tidbits. We haven't talked about Saints football for a long time, but, LSU fans have to be over the moon right now because we signed Tyrann Mathieu. And it seems like the draft went well. With me, my sister, I think, wanted to throw something at me from Texas because, and she's a big Saints fan, but she's all excited about who we drafted and that we're getting Tyrann Mathieu. I'm like, it's kind of like whenever my college team's like, we got a 5-star recruit. It's like, I don't care until they're in a uniform catching or throwing a ball or making the appropriate blocks, then I'll get excited. But I don't know. That being said, were you guys pleasantly surprised by?
I was.
Or do you not give a crap about the draft? Because there's that too.
Actually, that's one of the funniest things I remember. And I don't know, I think may have mentioned it in previous podcast that I used to work for a couple of really big Saints fans, and every year one of them would throw a big old barbecue for the draft. This was back when it was Saturday, Sunday.
That sounds
like
a
Saturday
miserable party.
You just go in and just it's an excuse to just eat meat, drink beer, and talk football, which, given the fact that it's the draft and not a game, in other words, there's no way to be proven right or wrong. It's the best kind of talk you can have. I'm glad with who we ended up with. I'm glad, the first round on Thursday night was kind of crazy watching everybody move up to get wide receiver. And so I'm glad the Saints seem to have solved their two biggest holes and then got Tyrann Mathieu to solve their third one. So I'm happy.
The old format would have lent itself really well to a crawfish boil. It's like just hang out all day, peeling crawfish, having a few beers. Yeah, that'd have been great.
So, yeah, and it's also kind of fun. This is the first draft, I think. Hey, don't give me that look. You're the one who said it. We're having a private conversation here. But this is the first draft because, I listened to some Saints podcasts now. I actually knew some names of what to expect, but normally it's like, Saints selected, man, it's like, yay.
Unless they played in the conference of your favorite team,
right.
You probably don't know very much about the guy. But
so anyway, that was one thing. The Pelicans gave it their best. Man, they're going to be a good team coming up. But not to skip quite over that, but the biggest thing was Jazz Fest is back, baby. And Dave, did you go all 3 days of the first weekend?
I that was my best laid plans were
same with us. We had all 3 days, but Sunday, first of all, when it rained, and second of all, it was like, man, like I said, a kick in the pants. But anyway,
Saturday I got pulled into a kid's birthday party that just like wouldn't end. Like it was supposed to go at about 2 or 3, and it got postponed to like 5. And so I was like, now my whole day's shot. I can't go. So that stunk. But the other 2 days are really fun.
Yeah, and I guess Fredo was asking us about the crowds. There were a lot of people, but it wasn't as insane as I've seen it in the past. I don't know. Was that your take on it?
Yeah, same. Originally when we were out Friday, I thought, okay, good. The crowd hasn't gotten too huge yet. This is why I like Friday. And then by the time Sunday rolled around, the crowd wasn't that much bigger, though I guess, again, the rain might have kept some people away, but I don't know.
I have no idea if they're limiting the number of tickets that they've I mean, they obviously, like our tickets are from 2 years ago. They got rolled over. But I don't know.
I did notice they scaled a few things back. Like the children's area had been scaled back to a singular tent that the acts weren't awe-inspiring. And normally they have like a big play area and crafting and all this stuff, and it I didn't see that this year.
So yeah, and again, the grandstands, they're usually at the main stage, at the back, they're gone. So it seemed like you had more room to spread out. I think now that I say it out loud, because Brittany and I were both going, why'd they take the grandstands out? But I mean, there was a lot more open space that you weren't shoulder to shoulder. If you wanted to be shoulder to shoulder, you could. The surprise. Oh, go ahead, Fredo.
No, I was just going to ask you right quick, because I had a couple of friends, Arsenal friends, who came in from out of town, and they went to every day of the weekend, and actually met up with them on Sunday. And they're like, it was the first time for one of them, and they hadn't eaten. They were like eating everything under the sun. So they're like, it should be called the New Orleans Food Festival, and we got some music on top of it. Yeah. So that's their words. How are the prices for all the food items, all the big stuff that everyone wants to get?
It seemed the same.
Normal thing.
It's okay. Same overpriced stuff. I mean,
yeah.
I will say, because Saturday I got the Cochon de lait po' boy, which is I love that one.
Oh yeah.
But there's a stand that I think this is the best deal. It's not the best of either of these dishes, but for $11 you get 2-piece chicken and 2 big scoops of jambalaya. Mm-hmm. And it's like I said, that's it's like seems like a great deal because that's a lot of food. Our favorite moment though was as I was waiting in line for my chicken and jambalaya, some guy came up and leaned into the lady and said, and this is one of those, tell me you're not from New Orleans without saying I'm not from New Orleans. He leaned in and he said, does your jambalaya have beans in it? And the look on everybody's face, and like the lady just went like, no. And he's like, all right. It's like, and I just want to say, dude, who's been torturing you with putting beans in your jambalaya? Now we all kind of talked after he left. It's like maybe he was thinking red beans and rice.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, did somebody serve him red beans and said jambalaya?
I don't know.
Doesn't sound like it.
He was probably. He was probably sliding around in horse crap the next day after it rained. But anyway,
I had multiple mango freezes. They're still as delightful as ever. The crawfish bread seems to be shriveling in size. Like it just gets a little smaller every year, and I think like that's how they're battling inflation. But all in all, I can't really complain about the food. We even hit the raw oyster bar in the grandstand, which wow, that's a little hidden gem. You like duck back in where they keep the horses, and they had a lanyap stage back there and an oyster bar. That was good stuff.
Yeah, so we're not here to talk about all the acts at Jazz Fest, but I will say I was skeptical about going to see The Who, and after and they come out on stage, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey looking like 76, 77 years old, walking out on stage, and they opened up with "Who Are You?" And there's that moment where everything kind of has died down, and then Roger Daltrey comes in with this, yeah.
Shot in the light of day in a house filled with people? That's cold-blooded, Horatio.
It's as cold as ice.
And he hit that, and I went, oh, okay. And everybody just went nuts. It's like he saved that up all day long to be able to hit that. And I got a couple Pete Townsend windmill, so I was like, I'm good. But come to find out, Pete Townsend played banjo at Preservation Hall that night.
Oh yeah, I heard about that after the fact too. It's like
I would have skipped Jazz Fest if I would have known that's going on. That's what I would like to see. You never know how to know that.
It's hard to be connected. Yeah, like those are the kinds of concerts that always happen, but you can't know when or where unless you're just really plugged in.
And at 49 years old, I can't go to Jazz Fest all day and then down to the quarter for, the evening times. It's like old man Aaron needs a nap.
Good news, everyone! I'm in terrible pain.
But anyway.
That's one of the highlights of Jazz Fest is afterwards you'll have Elvis Costello jump on a stage here, or even somebody like Elton John just get on somebody's set for just a couple of songs, say it was there, and then he'll be gone.
So Jazz Fest is going on. So that like I said, we're not here to talk all about that, but it's kind of nice to have it back. And I hope whatever crud I have is done. That's not COVID, so that's hooray. Just hope it's gone by Friday, because we're going back to Jazz Fest again. But tomorrow, even better, tomorrow, as we record this on a Tuesday, May 3rd, tomorrow is Star Wars Day. It is May the 4th.
Merchandising.
And you know what? And I never get in on the merchandising stuff of it. It's just kind of fun to be just the nerdy, like, it's Star Wars Day. And everybody goes, why is it Star Wars Day? May the 4th. And then they're like, what? You're like, if you don't know, you don't know. But, the rest of us are like, hooray. But do you guys buy into then what comes later? The Revenge of the Fifth? I've never liked that. I've just like, maybe that's I'm an original trilogy guy, so, but it's also, Star Wars Day, it just encompasses everybody, but I don't know. I don't like the Revenge of the Fifth.
Yeah. I don't mind it, but at the same time, I've come to appreciate Star Wars Day, May the 4th. Just the idea of, hey, there's going to be a day every year. We're going to just celebrate this silly thing that we're all fans of. And it's a good way. So, I mean, you get a lot of people costuming, people posting stuff. So it's a good way to kind of remind everybody, hey, look, you got into this because you like this and connected with you, and kind of keep going.
Wear your favorite Star Wars shirt or tie or whatever, and be a nerd all day, more so than normal. So in honor of that, I've got some May the 4th trivia here from the Washington Post. So all right. So Dave, to you, first of all, true or false, R2-D2 is played by an actor in a metal costume?
True.
That's a loaded question, because not always, but yes, that's right. It's Kenny Baker, and I have an R2-D2 action figure autographed by Kenny Baker. Met him in Omaha, actually. Fredo, to you, much of The Force Awakens takes place on Rey's home planet. The filmmaker shot scenes in the Ruba Khali Desert near Abu Dhabi, capital of the United Arab Emirates. What is the name of this desert planet? Is it Tatooine, Hosnian Prime, Dantooine, or Jakku?
It's Jakku.
Yeah, come on. These are softballs. All right. To me, aside from the May the 4th be with you, May the Force be with you, one line appears in Star Wars film more than any other. What is it? It's a trap. I find your lack of faith disturbing. I have a bad feeling about this. Or do or do not. There is no try. It's I have a bad feeling about this. And Dave, to you, what does a Bacta-tank do? Does it help Yoda travel through the swamps of Dagobah? Does it gun down enemy soldiers? Does it store blue milk, the finest beverage in the galaxy? Or does it help an injured person recover from their wounds?
Help an injured person recover from their wounds.
That's right. Luke is in a Bacta-tank in diapers in Empire Strikes Back. All right, Fredo, in The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn teaches young Anakin Skywalker about a special organism that lives inside all cells and connects people with the Force. What are these wee beasties called? Yes, it says wee beasties. Yes.
Midichlorians.
Yep, it is midichlorians. Not even going to we're not going to make these multiple choice anymore. All right, to me, who is Supreme Leader of the First Order? This is also kind of a loaded question. Is it Kylo Ren, Armitage Hux, Snoke, or Leia Organa? Well, I can rule out one of those.
Actually, I'd rule out two.
No, because Hux is actually kind of Supreme Leader for a second until Kylo chokes him down. I mean, I'm going to go with the obvious Snoke, but this is like a trivia debacle where I would have been.
Yeah, this is the Kyber Crystal question again.
All right, so Dave, what is the name of the language most often spoken in the Star Wars movies? Is it Rhodese, Binary, Galactic Basic, or Huttese? This is kind of a tough one.
Galactic Binary?
Well, it's Binary or Galactic Basic.
Yeah, I put them together. It's Binary, and then what's the other one?
Galactic Basic.
Galactic Basic. That's the one I'm going to go with.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I mean, people would have jumped on the Huttese train there, but not everybody speaks Huttese. All right, Fredo. George Lucas originally wanted what animal to play the beloved Yoda? A monkey, an owl, a cat, or a dog?
That one.
Yeah, these get tougher as we go, huh? We got cocky.
Yeah, I'm going to go with monkey.
It is. He originally wanted a monkey wearing a mask to play Yoda. I'm glad cooler heads prevailed. All right.
Take a pork, Mark Hamill.
To me, Obi-Wan Kenobi famously rides what fictional animal in Revenge of the Sith as he battled against General Grievous on the planet of Utapau? My favorite thing on the planet. Is it a Lugabeast, a Bantha, a Kadu, or a Varactyl? And actually, I don't necessarily know. I know it's not a Bantha. It's not a Kadu. I'm going to say Lugabeast. Oh, no.
A Varactyl.
Did you know it was a Varactyl?
Not until you listed them off, and then I was able to
process elimination.
Narrow it down.
All right,
yeah.
You're so smart. The last one to Dave. These two characters appear in most Star Wars movies. I'm not going to give you choices.
It's not Abbott and Costello.
Yeah. C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yeah, C-3PO and R2-D2. I kind of like the idea, people have said that those two are like the Greek chorus. They're telling us everything. It's like we really are kind of seeing the story through them. But anyway, so cool. All right. Now we're all warmed up. Fredo, let's jump into some news. We got some Star Wars stuff and some Marvel stuff, huh?
Yeah, so we'll do the Marvel stuff before I do the Star Wars because that'll kind of lead to a main topic, right? Let's see. So first bit of news that kind of came out over the weekend was that John Watts, who directed all three of the Spider-Man Marvel movies, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, was slated to direct the Fantastic Four movie, but he has withdrawn. So according to Deadline, it's amicable withdrawal from him from the movie. He's reporting that he needs a break after making three of the biggest movies that Marvel has made, including arguably second biggest. I mean, I don't know how much you want to say. I mean, No Way Home is a massive hit, so he's been working nonstop on that. So he wants a break.
Kevin Smith said that shooting like a comic book movie or something like it is like, or an action movie is like the most tedious thing on the planet, because it's like you have to set this one thing up and shoot that, and it's just very meticulous and it just drains you. It's not like Clerks where it's just we're in a convenience store and just talking. So I can imagine that it would be rewarding but just tiring. So
yeah, all I can thinking of is Ray Harryhausen making his monsters come alive by moving a fraction of an inch, taking a picture, another fraction of an inch, taking a picture. I mean, it's much nicer technology and green screen, and a lot of the computers help offset all that. But there's a lot of pressure making these movies because their budgets are hundreds of millions of dollars now. Okay.
So do they know who's going to take over for him or not?
No mention yet of who might take it. Let's see. He does have another project coming in through Apple Studios with George Clooney and Brad Pitt that seems more adult-oriented. Kevin Feige basically said collaborating with him was a true pleasure. We're looking forward to continuing him, but understand we're optimistic that we'll have the opportunity to work together again at some point down the road, which, at least, if nothing else, they're coming at it from the position of, yeah, you give us a decade of your life to make, bring one of our biggest characters into the fold, and we're happy with the outcome. So go on, do whatever, and the door's always open.
Fantastic Four has been a tough nut to crack,
Mhm.
movie wise. Every movie version of that story has been a borderline disaster, if not outright disaster. So it's a difficult thing to do. I was optimistic about John taking it on because he kind of had that familial vibe going with his Spider-Man stuff. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, now it's a question really of just like where do you go now? Who, Fredo, you had an interesting suggestion, right?
Well, I was thinking about, because it all depends on kind of how you want to go with it.
Mhm.
Because that's part of the question is how would you make this movie, And it's not just my suggestion. A lot of people have kind of thought of, well, the actual best version of the Fantastic Four we've ever gotten is The Incredibles.
Hmm.
So why not just get Brad Bird, who did The Incredibles, Ratatouille, but he also directed Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol. So he's already got a background in action. He's already got a
Mhm.
background in superhero movies. And if you watch The Incredibles, I mean, most of it's a family dynamic with
Yeah.
superpowers on top, which is what the Fantastic Four is.
So
So,
I guess we'll see.
yeah, yeah. Moving on to from a one story that broke over the weekend to another from Marvel. There was a report over at I'm trying to see. Uh, hmm, Giant freaking robot was reporting that Keanu Reeves has been attached to quote a secret role for Marvel end quote. They did not narrow it much as to what property or what character. They did
I
suggest.
totally hope that it's Shang-Chi too, so he can say, "I know kung fu."
Now, the only thing is they said is that it's set for a film in the MCU. It's not going to be a Marvel TV series. So, you're talking about, they've been after trying to get Keanu Reeves. He's a big enough star. Where would you fit him in? How you fit him in? It's an interesting question, but that's the rumor. Well, that's the report. Right?
So they're not going to Disney Plus him.
No, well, that's just it. It's well, that's just it. I mean, Keanu has done stuff for like Netflix and
Well,
whatnot.
but my point is, and we'll talk about it here when we get to our main topic when we start talking about Star Wars Celebration, because one of the panels there's it now seems like Lucasfilm especially is kind of blurring the lines between what they consider a movie and what they consider a Disney Plus property.
Mhm.
As far as, because some people say movie and that over here is TV. And I
Mhm.
guess I don't really necessarily consider it TV, but it seems Marvel here is those. There's a it sounds like they are making a distinction of we're not going to Disney Plus him type of a deal. It sounds like I don't know. It's just I'm reading into that way too much, um, but also Keanu Reeves is also getting to be that age where he's going to start playing county fairs. So it's not yeah.
Well, I guess my question would be: do you think it'll be one role for one movie and then you're gone, kind of like the likes of like Kurt Russell, who did Ego for one character and then he was off, or do you think it'll be a character that we might see across multiple movies?
I don't know. When you guys
Oh.
heard this, but you guys are the Marvel nerds. When you heard it, what was the first, like, oh, he would do great for this character? Obviously, this has no basis in fact, but you're like, oh, he'd be great for this character.
You know what was funny? Like the first thing that went through my mind was Constantine,
Mm-hmm.
because I think he did an interview some months back when somebody asked him like, well, which character have you played that you'd like to play again that you haven't had the chance to? Because I think they were asking him about the Matrix, and I think he said Constantine. He was like, I'd love to do this again. So anybody listening out there? Um, so
Yeah.
I was like, that's
The problem
interesting to me.
problem is Constantine's a DC character,
I
not
know,
Marvel.
I know, I know, I know.
So,
So that's where the whole theory just sort of falls apart. But
Well, we
yeah,
are introducing the multiverse in a couple days here, so or
yeah,
going
uh,
going
yeah. All
headlong
bets are
into
off, right?
So
all bets are off.
Yeah, part of me was going to say, like, if this was 25 years ago, he would have been the perfect Namor for that Fantastic Four movie.
Oh yeah, Namor. That'd be
He would have
fun.
been excellent for it. Now. I don't necessarily know that he wants to be walking around, bare chested through 80% of the movie.
Well, there
He's
was
Keanu Reeves,
I don't
but
know. He may be, he may be working
look,
out.
there are ways around that.
There was
Like
a lot
they
of guys at
redesigned
Jazz
these
Fest who were
guys.
walking around with no shirt on that they didn't care. So,
Well, those guys are a special breed of cat.
and they're not. That image is not being projected onto the biggest screens imaginable across the globe.
They're wired a little differently in general, is what I would say. But yeah, Namor is a fun idea because like we've teased Namor quite a bit, and
for the uninitiated, who is
he's
Namor?
basically Aquaman in the Marvel universe. So
But
like,
not as nice.
yeah,
He's
little more of an adversarial type. Doesn't get along with the poor Wakandans, for example.
That's one of the interesting aspects. He gets into.
I'm sorry, in Endgame they were referencing a lot of that. They're referencing Atlantis, basically saying there was an earthquake or whatever off the coast of Africa. So,
yeah, so that would be a fun possibility, and I'd like that. He wouldn't have to go shirtless. I could redesign the character a little bit, and that's what they do.
And one of the interesting aspects is the Namor character originated in the 1940s. There's comic book. I mean, they brought Stan Lee and Jack Kirby brought him back into the 60s, but they're comic books of him and Captain America fighting the Nazis in 1940. So, if you want to present the idea of a character who's lived a long life and both has connections already established to the MCU as well as an adversarial position where because he's the ruler of Atlantis, he doesn't necessarily is on anybody's side, but his own people. So he'll go to war with Wakanda. He'll go to war with Doctor Doom at Latveria. He'll announce himself in New York City saying the surface world, has polluted my world for the last time, and I'm riding on top of a whale to destroy you all, kind of thing.
No, so. He jumps out of the water and goes, "Whoa!"
I go kung fu.
See, the thing is, the fish guy is always a hard sell, right? It's like, they decide, we're going to do Aquaman in live action. Everyone's like, really? You're really going to do that? And then they just completely reconceived the character. And then just did the whole Momoa thing and went all in on that persona. And it worked. I thought it worked really well. I liked the movie. So, like, at this point, it's like, okay, let's go fish guy again. But let's make him distinct from Momoa. Like Keanu would be pretty different. He would have a pretty different take.
Well, I guess we'll find out at some point. So, on to more concrete news.
Yeah, on to more concrete in a way, because what's interesting is this. In anticipation of Celebration, Disney released their most updated schedule for movie releases that's been out. So the most recent version, the one that has Doctor Strange coming out this Friday and Lightyear coming out in June and Thor coming out the 8th of July. So it lists all the various properties, even if they don't necessarily have a title. What's interesting is when you get to December 22nd, 2023, we get the release date for Rogue Squadron, the Patty Jenkins directed movie that got announced during the D23 Expo with that nice teaser trailer. That she had exited to go work on Cleopatra, left Cleopatra to come back to work on it. So far, they're still suggesting, Disney still expects that a year and a half from now, they are going to have a new Star Wars movie to release. The question mark here is, as the article from Slash Film says, they haven't shot a thing yet. This is not in current active production, so how quickly can they ramp that up to get it going so they can have a movie out on a movie screen for next Christmas?
And I hear what you're saying about that, but I think we often look at timelines within a 1980s paradigm, where it literally took 3 years to get a Star Wars movie out. Whereas now with technology, especially this one, there's probably going to be a heck of a lot of people flying around in X-Wings. So there's probably not going to be a lot of,
lightsaber
location shooting. It's might be a little bit not as difficult in scope. I don't know. But like I said, I think we look at within the paradigm of it takes 3 years to make a movie, and I don't think it necessarily does. And because they haven't shot anything, I don't even know if the shooting part is the heavy lifting. Is the, it's been in production for a while, so.
Let's just say it was in production. They kind of wanted, sort of ramped it back down when Patty Jenkins exited. Now it's back up because she's back. My only concern there is we've seen what happens. We've seen with the Disney what happens when you try to speed run this sucker. You get episode 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I also wonder like how complicit Lucasfilm is in making this thing happen and on this particular timeline, because I know that they really wanted her for this particular project and it's a passion project for her, but then she just got too busy, and then there were rumors that she was just going to have to pull out completely because it just wasn't going to work out timing wise. At which point she made it work somehow, or they made her make it work somehow. I think she pulled out of Cleopatra. Yeah, and so now it's just she's doing the thing. So I mean, like on the one hand, it sounds like a cool project, and I think she's a great director. So I'm excited, but to your point, Aaron, it's like, well, is it gonna work out? Because if she's getting stretched thin and she's getting pulled in 20 directions, and they're trying to crank this thing out quickly, that's not necessarily conducive to the best possible product.
And that's kind of the difficulty because she was committed at one point to 3 big productions: Rogue Squadron, Cleopatra under Warner Brothers, and Wonder Woman 3. Now, right now, she's dropped Cleopatra, but she still has Wonder Woman 3 that I'm sure they want to get back out there, and Rogue Squadron, which I'm sure they want to get back out there. Both of these studios are looking at their release slates. I mean, the fact that Disney's given us a big old list of, you got this Marvel project coming out, then you got this Disney project coming out. That's the way that these massive corporations think about their slates, because they're looking to hit every quarter with a big release. And they already got it penciled in for Christmas next year. And, I mean, they'll move it, but that's a big deal to move.
Well, we'll be watching this with great interest.
Oh, yes.
So speaking of great interest, we might hear some of it come the end of the month.
We're gonna hear. I think we're gonna have a lot of. We're either gonna have a lot of questions answered, or we're gonna have no questions answered. There's not gonna be any gray area, because we're talking about Star Wars Celebration, which is happening at the end of May. Let's see, it's May. Like
26
and 27.
Yeah, a couple days long. Anyway, I've been to a couple of celebrations, and the most recent one in Chicago was actually the last one they had in 2019. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this seems to be kind of lined up a little bit similar. There are 3 big stages, and then obviously it's like if you go to any convention, there's several little breakout. There are other things that are going on, like little, like there's a podcasting stage, and there's like, you can learn about Star Wars gaming in this other little room and stuff. And of course they have a big exhibit hall, which is way cool. But the 3 big ones are, you have the celebration stage, which is the Anaheim Convention Center Arena. And it says, it will shine with bright stars and original entertainment all weekend long, presenting panels on upcoming productions, intimate conversations with creators, and other live events. So that's the big we'll call that the main stage, but it's a celebration stage. The Galaxy stage is one of the 2 premier stages for the weekend, along with the celebration stage. Best first looks on the big screen are planned, as well as a wide variety of shows featuring a depth and breadth of Star Wars universe. Catch conversations with masters, celebrity appearances, and more. And then you have the Twin Sun stage, which will cover the ins and outs of what's going on into creating the Star Wars universe, hosting guests who make it happen for movies, television, toys, books. So you kind of see it's all the big stuff, and then cool stuff, not as big, and then just kind of the C list. Still good content. But what we're going to do is we're going to kind of run down the highlights that is on StarWars.com, and just so you can get an idea of the types of things that are at this convention. Because there's a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. And by the way, do we know, is this going to be streaming on StarWars.com at all? Any bit of it?
They've done that. They've done that in the past.
I think I didn't know if they did it for Chicago. Because I was at Chicago, so.
Okay, so it might be moot for a lot of people because most of these tickets are sold out, right? And it's a 4-day event from Thursday to Sunday, and 2 of the days are completely sold out. The Jedi Master level, which is like the VIP level, which gives you all this premier access to everything.
Those sell out in an hour.
Yeah, that's sold out. I guess there's still a few kids passes.
Well, but I mean, like I said, at least it gives you kind of an idea of if you were to want to go one in the future, what's going on.
Right. This whole thing will pretty much sell out. So if you decide you want to go at some point, maybe this isn't the year because like most of this stuff's already snatched up.
But we do need to, like I said, we do need to look into see if it's going to be streaming because I guess I'll be
that's the big
driving
appeal.
Home from Disney, so I'll be streaming it on my phone as Brittany drives. But
right, I mean, like this is the certain panels have appeared online, like the main ones, like the Rise of Skywalker one. That's where they debuted the trailer.
But they don't actually, when they do stream it, they don't show like the trailer or any of the footage in the live stream.
A couple of days, right?
Actually,
it was like within the hour.
Well, that's what I'm saying though, is that but stick close to YouTube because you won't see it live streamed, but like within an hour it will be up on YouTube most likely. And I mean in a legal way, not somebody filming it with their iPhone.
So as we talk about this over the course of this show and you hear something like, "Oh, it's a new property that might have a trailer attached to it," if you're watching live, you may not get to see that trailer, but stick around for an hour and you'll get to see it.
Now, one of the things to keep in mind also as we talk about these, they're going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones?
Revenge is Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
20th anniversary. It's been 20 years since Attack of the Clones, folks. Holy cow!
We're old.
45 and 45 since A New Hope.
So it is the 25th anniversary. It's the 25th anniversary of Attack of the Clones.
No, 20th.
Okay.
20th.
Anyway, let's start running down some of these. So on Thursday, it seems like the big ones they got going on. This is the one I think is going to be most interesting. Lucasfilm Studio Showcase. So Star Wars Celebration returns, launching with a must-see showcase that will kick the weekend's festivities into hyperdrive. Lucasfilm's current crop of live-action filmmakers will be joined by special guests to discuss the many Star Wars adventures coming soon, including Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, and The Mandalorian. So that's why I said what's interesting. They say filmmakers, and they list off 3 Disney Plus series.
But they say surprise guests.
But
the actors. Yeah, right.
But here,
you got the directors and the actors, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I mean, surprise guests is it's also kind of like at the Smoothie King Center when they say we got some live entertainment coming out, and it's like some obscure
show,
just some singer that you never heard of. I mean, but so
I want Red Panda, darn it.
But I think in this one, I think your best bet is going to see some Andor footage. That's the one I'm going to be really paying attention to. But hopefully,
release date.
But hopefully, we'll get some. Maybe there'll be some information on Taika Waititi's project. Are we going to get any Lando information?
The Acolyte.
The Acolyte. That's another. Actually, that is another big one. That is. I've heard rumored.
Yeah, but we haven't seen or heard a thing about it so far. Like it's just been quietly been doing its own thing.
So
What's
that's
interesting is it kind of leaves open the possibility of future films, but in the description here, but it lists specifically
Disney
TV
Plus.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
But again, they call it filmmakers, which I find interesting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's cool. I mean,
but that's that first Thursday at like 11 a.m. roughly. So that's.
but is that 11
the
a.m.
good news-
Pacific? Are all those times Pacific?
Oh gosh.
Because it's in Anaheim.
Yeah.
I believe it
Wow.
is. Yeah.
They didn't.
You
I
might
don't know
not
if they
have to wake
said.
up too early. But like I said, I think a lot of cool things will come out of that. You know, actually what's also interesting is I don't know if they're doing this year as well, but like in Celebration Chicago, you had to, if you wanted to go to this panel, you had to enter a lottery,
Mhm.
and then hopefully you got a ticket to go into this, because they've gotten away from standing in line all night long, which people would do. They would like camp out, and I ain't camping out for anything. They did a lottery system, and it ticked off a lot of people. But I mean, it's, you know, and like I didn't get into the main stage for the Mandalorian stuff. I got into the overflow stage and got to watch live stream. So I got to see the footage. I just was not in the same room with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. So whatever. So yeah, that's interesting. The next one I find really interesting, Attack of the Chords, the music of episode 2 with David W. Collins. David W. Collins explores the musical connections between the story and the characters, breaking down both new and classic themes. You know, and as I've said it many times, that I found the prequel music kind of, you know, I mean, it was good, but it wasn't as awe-inspiring as the original trilogy to me. But this would be one that I would really geek out over, because I'm sure this guy is going to prove me wrong, you know. And I would learn some stuff. So, but I wonder how accessible it's going to be.
Well, as you said, I mean, it's because you're going to be blasting music in an auditorium. You hopefully have good sound speakers, because otherwise.
No, my point is, and I'm gonna be a musical nerd here with, you know, that Star Wars fans like to think that they are big, you know, that they have their like PhDs in music because they know the term leitmotif, but they can't pronounce it correctly, but just because they've read it a gazillion times. But when you sit there and actually point out, you know, 3 notes that is like the Emperor's theme, and notice that this is happening on screen, it takes, I mean, you really do have to focus, and I just wonder how accessible, you know, can the person who doesn't have a master's degree in music or an undergrad in music, can they get something out of it? And on the flip side of that, will they? You know, is it just going to be, this is a really cool song, you know, and play?
Yeah.
Which,
well, to Fredo's point, the sound quality in the auditorium might matter, because like if they're playing snippets of music, people will be like, yeah, I'm rocking out to this. I have no idea what this guy's talking about, but I'm loving this. So yeah, I don't know.
But at the same time, you're talking about, can you out nerd the nerds?
Now,
this might be one instance where you can actually.
I will say one of the best moments in the Attack of the Clones, actually of the best of the prequel trilogy, was when Anakin in the garage and the music that's going on in there. You've got snippets of Darth Vader's theme, then you get the Emperor's theme is in the background. You get Darth Vader's theme for a second. You know, it's some really cool stuff. So yeah, that one might. I hope they actually live stream that one, but it doesn't. I don't know if that would be one they would live stream. I don't know.
They might, just because again, it's not something. Maybe they'll have, you know, a smaller audience, so they might be more willing to kind of show it, because again, it speaks to more the academic side of movie making.
I like the idea of it turning around my opinion, same as you, Aaron, because it's like, to me, that's the least successful score of any of the movies. So
this next one, I think some New Orleans folks are going to be there. Lucasfilm Publishing, Stories from a Galaxy Far, Far Away. From adult novels to kids' comics from the time of the High Republic to the rise of the First Order, this is the place to dive deeper into the stories from a galaxy far, far away. Featuring details on new and upcoming titles from Disney, Lucasfilm Press, Del Rey, Dark Horse, and more. I do know Daniel Jose Older will be there. I think Claudia Gray.
She is, because they're going to be on a panel later on that day all about the High Republic. So it's interesting that they're having two different panels discussing publishing efforts. But I think this one specifically, all encompassing, it goes all the books. So I'll be interested because there's been a good response to a lot of the Star Wars publishing, not just the High Republic, but like the Padme Amidala trilogy that came out that just finished this year, really well received. The Thrawn books, which keep getting well received. So there's a lot of interest in the book side and the publishing side of Star Wars.
And this is a required panel every time they do the celebration. It's like you got to have a publishing one. So
yeah, and there's usually actually, it seems like there's always a special release, and you can generally get a signed copy and stuff like that. So no, we'll see what is released. Ian McDiarmid, An Audience with the Emperor. I am all the Sith. Join Ian McDiarmid, who portrayed Chancellor and then Emperor Palpatine in all three trilogies of the Skywalker saga, for a discussion that is sure to reveal rare insights and behind-the-scenes stories from the celebrated actor who, blah, blah, blah. So I actually love these types of panels where it's an actor just telling stories that might be 50% full of crap, but it's always, it really depends on who the moderator is as well. Like in the past, I mean, a lot of these things they've had Warwick Davis do some of it, but
he's pretty good at it too.
He is. He's very good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I like I said, I like these types of panels.
I hope somebody asks him about lightsaber dueling Samuel L. Jackson.
Is noteworthy for being his favorite part of the job.
So, the next one, Star Wars Collectibles Update with Lucasfilm Brian Merton. So this might be where we get a little bit of information on the Regal Robot stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it says, come celebrate with us and find out what's happening firsthand with our favorite Star Wars collectibles. We'll chat about prop replicas, statues, and more, probably with a surprise or two along the way. So, this is be the Aaron is Doomed panel. That's actually
go through the screen there.
One of my favorite things in the expo hall is the Hasbro booth, to go and see all the upcoming action figures and stuff. It's just so cool.
Don't they usually have like rare, celebration specific collectibles that they hand out?
The shop does, yeah. The shop does, and it depends on, I mean, like one time I got George Lucas in X-Wing outfit. That was at Celebration 2. Yeah. This last one, I don't think I got anything. They were doing the 6-inch figures, and that just, it was Phantom Menace, and it was like, meh. So, but yes, they do, and that becomes a mess. It's like getting into the queue at Disney World. You have to get on the app and try to get a place in line so that you can then go back to the store. This is pre-COVID, and it was just a mess. There's a lot of waiting in line.
It's a lot like collecting the Disney pins that you see people at the parks, like where people just go nuts over, oh, did you got the rare whatever? Please, can you sell it to me for like triple the price?
Actually, the only thing I wanted really I got a couple shirts, and one was a Rise of Skywalker shirt, and so that was really kind of cool. But the other one actually was it was Jabba's palace, but they're all wearing gangster hats, so it's the Chicago gangsters. That was kind of cool. But anyway, so the Star Wars Collectibles update, that would be kind of cool. The High Republic for Light and Life. This is the panel that's happening from 3 to 4 on Thursday. Centuries before the Skywalker saga, there was the High Republic. Join moderator in Star Wars The High Republic show host Christina Ariel, along with luminous authors Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Older, Calvin Scott, and Charles Sewell, along with Lucasfilm's a bunch of people from Lucasfilm. They're really still trying to get the High Republic to stick, and it seems like it seems like that's people who have read it have liked it, but it seems like it's been a tough push uphill to get some.
You know what would solve that is do something live action,
like The Acolyte.
And isn't that sad? I mean, you'd like to think that people would be excited. It's like the Harry Potter books. You know, people were nuts over those before there was even talk of a movie. You'd kind of like that with anything, but you're right. You're right. It's like you make a live action High Republic thing, and yeah, people will go flock to the books.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it in reverse. Look at the way that Moon Knight has had people go back and read his comic books. So sometimes it takes that spark like that to kind of get people to go, oh, this is interesting. Let me go find out more. And, the good thing is, if you're trying to catch a glimpse of one of the actors or directors, good luck. You probably have better luck at Celebration catching one of these authors and striking up a conversation, I think.
Well, and there's going to be at this panel, there's going to be all new announcements and reveals from Phase 2, Quest of the Jedi. So the next phase in the High Republic series. So we'll see where that story is heading.
Mm-hmm.
So far, anything you guys would be like, yeah, I want to go wait in line for that one?
Oh, the biggie, the big one.
Mm-hmm. That one and probably the Ian McDermott one, just because, again, when you have somebody who's, if you've seen him talk, he's actually quite charming and disarming. So it'd be a fun time, even if you learn nothing, it'd be a fun time.
All right. Well, on Friday, we have the Summer of Lego, or the Summer of Lego Star Wars. So join Lego Group and Lucasfilm as we celebrate the Summer of Lego Star Wars. Panelists from across consumer products, games, and animation will highlight the ways fans can enjoy and interact with Star Wars from the unique Lego lens. To me, this would be kind of a meh. I like the game. I like the Lego stuff, but I don't know if this is like worthy of a whole session.
There's people who collect them.
There's
people who collect them. You make a big deal.
Now
the collecting stuff.
It is. You said earlier, Fredo, merchandising. There's a panel we're going to get to here soon. Like at Chicago, Disney was there all up about Galaxy's Edge, and they were showing off the Coke bottles. They were talking about the food and stuff like that, and everybody was kind of like, why is that a panel? But they want people. They're trying to hawk their wares. So that's not one I'm going to wait in line for, though. The Summer of Lego Star Wars. Lucasfilm Publishing, Behind the Page. Explore the world of nonfiction, novelty, and behind-the-scenes books for fans of every age. That'd be kind of cool. The one that catches my eye there is behind-the-scenes books. Again, those are I'm more of a nonfiction reader anyway, and so that's the kind of thing that I would latch on to.
Like this is where your visual dictionary type books would fall under, and so like I could see like there being a big interest in that, but
particularly because it feels like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff shifted from necessarily publishing to more visual, like you get behind the scenes featurettes and videos and DVD extras and whatnot. So surprising that Lucasfilm's still making that, but hey.
All right, so here's the big one for the day: Star Wars: Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary celebration. All right, so we're going to have to speculate. We know Hayden and Ewan McGregor are going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not part of this panel, it will be kind of dumb. If you're going to bring him in, pay him and like get him talking about this. Who else do you think let's just say this: what's the over under on Natalie Portman
Natalie?
walking on the stage?
She'd be the big surprise, wouldn't she? Because you already know Ian is there, so you can kind of figure, yeah, he'll probably be there.
And she's kind of in Disney's payroll right now.
Yeah, that's the thing with Natalie. It's like
she's got a big movie coming up, you know, in Thor: Love and Thunder. So even though that's not Star Wars, but you know, it's still the mouse.
You figure, who else do you think will show up though?
So okay,
Tamora Morrison.
But let me tell you how the Phantom Menace one went down, because I went to the Phantom Menace 20th anniversary one at Chicago, and I think we got Anthony Daniels and Ahmed Best. Which Ahmed Best, that was awesome, you know, because just to see that was his, people welcomed him back with open arms. That was awesome. And then we got like a couple of the ILM guys, Doug Chang and John Knoll.
Yeah, and so I remember that.
So it was kind of a because like you didn't get Liam Neeson, you didn't get Natalie Portman, you didn't get Ewan McGregor. It was like, and now welcome to the stage, Doug Chang and John Knoll, and it was like, all right.
Hayden and Ewan were tough guts for forever. Again, they're currently under contract. I'm sure there are appearances.
Well, they're going to be there signing autographs. They're there the weekend to do the Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff.
That stuff's a given. I feel like Tamora Morrison will likely be there because like he's currently doing Star Wars stuff.
That would be cool.
But yeah, I mean, like,
I guess Ian McDermott,
Natalie would be the big get, the crowd pleaser.
Ian McDermott is there, but yeah, you're right. If they could bring in Natalie Portman, that would be huge.
Not to sound disgusting, but I'm going to say it. Without Natalie Portman, this is a gigantic sausage fest.
Yeah, right.
Well, the whole point.
Welcome to Star Wars, Fredo. I mean.
True.
Unfortunately, Star Wars does not really pass the Bechdel test too many times.
But that's my point. This is the one movie where the core of the story is romance. So the idea that you're not going to have one of the two star-crossed lovers present. I mean, don't get me wrong. I expect that Natalie Portman will be there, but I'm like 60-40, 70-30 that she'll be there just because she is working for Disney again. It's the kind of thing where she can come out for an hour, get a standing ovation, hang out with people she's worked with.
The fact that it's so close to Hollywood, I mean, also makes it, they're probably more likely to be there.
You're not asking to fly to Chicago. You're saying take a drive.
Anyway, that, like I said, the Phantom Menace one was kind of like, it was fun, but it was, I don't know. It was like, and now here's the sound guy for the Beatles, Anyway, let's move on as I start coughing.
Wasn't that Alan Parsons?
No, he was the sound guy for, who was it?
I don't know. Now I just want to watch Get Back now again.
Because I was actually talking to some guy at Faubourg Brewery who Alan Parsons was the sound guy for Yes.
Well, yes, but I mean, and Pink Floyd and a whole bunch of other people.
But anyway,
that's kind of where you got to start.
Well, he was this guy that we met at Faubourg Brewery. He was, he said he was at like this convention where it was like a sound equipment convention type of thing, and the people have these tables where you can, get old, speaker parts and stuff like that. And he actually bumped heads with Alan Parsons because they're both going for the same thing. He's like, okay, you can buy it. Anyway, sorry, I digress. All right, well, here we go. Star Wars merchandise sneak peek. Disney Parks and Shop Disney. There you go, kids. Are we gonna see new? Well, I guess discover a galaxy of merchandise celebrating all things Star Wars. Be among the first to get a sneak peek into what new exclusives are coming to Disney and Lucasfilm. So
The retractable lightsaber, right?
You think that's going to be? You think that's going to be the big reveal?
Probably not. No, but like that is that the golden goose, right? Is that like the ultimate, the holy grail, so to speak?
I was leaning towards it's probably going to be like, are there any other legacy lightsabers that they could announce? But but that merchandise at like they have walls full of holocrons. And it's like how long until people are like, okay, I'm done with the holocrons and the Salacious Crumbs, even though I can't wait to see them in a couple weeks.
Which legacy lightsaber might actually like be a big hit? Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah, Ezra Bridger.
The one that breaks. No, but I'm saying that because we haven't officially had an Ezra Bridger, but a Kanan Jarrus that you could split in two and put back together. They have the pieces for it. And I think, you saw the reaction that people had to Cal Kestis's from Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah. I think you give people a chance to buy the Kanan Jarrus lightsaber. I think there'll be a line for that. My one question for that panel, though, do you think we might get a surprise there that nobody was expecting? Like, hey, and you'll get merchandise from the upcoming Ahsoka or the upcoming Lando show? Or do you think they're going to be...
I think it's probably going. I don't think there's going to be any huge reveals. It's going to be a merchandise refresh coming to Galaxy's Edge. They're probably going to make the holocrons like we're phasing out the holocrons, so it's going to cause this mad exodus for everybody to go buy them up, type of a deal. But anyway, yeah, okay. So the rest of these, let's just kind of cruise through them a little bit. Go Beyond the Spires in Virtual Reality, Making of ILM X Labs, Tales of Galaxy's Edge. Hasbro Star Wars panel. It's see what Hasbro's going to be
series.
Bringing out.
The Black Series, that's the big deal. Everybody's collecting them.
From a galaxy far, far away to a Disney park near you, a chronological journey through Star Wars experiences at Disney Park. See, they're trying to get you to come back to the parks, folks, and maybe go to Star Wars jail. 35 years of Star Tours adventures with D23. You're really seeing this is more Disney than I have ever seen at, of course.
Yeah.
That is so.
They're in Anaheim, but they had to cancel the last 2 years. They want to get you back.
Let's Play Star Wars, a galaxy of tabletop games. See, so there's all sorts of different panels you can go to. Behind the
Did you guys ever play any of the tabletop stuff?
No.
Not for Star Wars, no.
Behind the audiobook, making an audio original Star Wars adventure. That'd be kind of interesting. Those old audio books, but I know that they're in here. They're talking more about like Dr. Aphra and Tempest Runner from the High Republic. But I don't know if you ever listened to the old audio dramas. Those are really kind of cool. Where John Lithgow is Yoda. That's kind of funny. Mm-hmm. So on Saturday, you get a conversation with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to talk about what they're going to be. So it's called Mando Plus. So this is all the stuff they're working on Disney Plus. That'll be interesting to see. And then you go another session with Dave Filoni and Robert Rodriguez and Jon Favreau and behind the scenes of Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Remember that there's actually a Disney Gallery that is coming out tomorrow on May 4th. So if you're listening to this, it's probably coming out today, May 4th. Disney Gallery Book of Boba Fett, I think, is being released. Those would be some interesting ones, obviously, to see what's going on with coming up with Mando Season 3 and Book of Boba Fett and stuff like that. The Star Wars cosplay competition, those are always fun. There's some really creative people. I mean, I know I'm in the 501st, but there's some people who will take Stormtrooper armor and then do magical things with it. So it's really kind of cool. Star Wars Hunters, welcome to the greatest show in the galaxy. What is this? On the planet of Vespara.
That's that.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's that video game that's coming out that's made by the people who own, is it Farmville?
Oh, okay.
Yep, they're the ones who make all those free mobile games that, so it's going to be one of those like free to download games like the Marvel Galaxy of Heroes stuff.
Now,
but it's for Star Wars.
This next one, and the alarm has gone off, so we got to wrap this up. But this next one is buried, in my opinion, first of all in the time slot, and then in the list of stuff. At 2:30 on Saturday, Tales of the Jedi. This is introducing Tales of the Jedi animated anthology shorts, hosted by Amy Ratcliffe with special guest Dave Filoni. So this was that, secret animated project that's been going on, and it's like I said, kind of buried. So that's kind of interesting. And then you get Doug Chiang designing The Mandalorian, Marvel, Star Wars comics. I am C-3PO with Anthony Daniels. I will say that if you've seen Anthony Daniels once, you've seen him 1,000 times. He has the same shtick. Always entertaining, really kind of cool, good stories. And
the 6:30 show is exactly the same as the 9:30 show.
I'm gonna hustle through. I'm gonna get to Sunday here. We're gonna get Bad Batch season 2 panel. We're gonna get a look back at Star Wars Visions, and I bet that they're probably gonna talk about maybe season 2. That would be my guess. The Wonderful World of Wookiees.
The Romance Match.
Okay.
They're gonna have Jonas. They're gonna have Jonas and Carrie Jones, who plays Chris Hampton. So,
and then we're gonna get a screening of the Siege of Mandalore from the Clone Wars season 7. That whole arc, I can do that in the comfort of my own home. But it's also fun to watch with all your favorite fans. Behind the scenes, the creatures of Return of the Jedi. That'd be kind of cool. And then the closing ceremony. So,
I gotta say, like the first two things occurring on Sunday, the Bad Batch season 2, which like nobody's been talking about really since they announced it. They were like, well, Bad Batch season 1's over, but season 2 is coming soon. And then we haven't really seen anything about it since then. And so I think it's flown under the radar for some people, especially with all the live action stuff out there. So like I'm really interested in that. And I also feel like when you mentioned Visions, there's a likelihood that you're going to get some sneak peek type stuff at the next season of that,
or a confirmation at least that there is a next season, because I think we just have been, it's just rumors from what we understand, right? That
it's been announced, but it hasn't been like officially, oh my God, this is what you're going to expect. Kind of like when we got the season 1 trailer for Visions. So now, by the way, I have one question because we asked about Natalie Portman. Here's the other person. Do you think George Lucas makes any kind of appearance?
No.
Okay.
He, for the Phantom Menace,
backyard.
For the Phantom Menace, they had him like he did a selfie, FaceTime type recording that like obviously had to have 2 takes. No, George Lucas ain't going to be there. He was there, for the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, and that was that was understandable. But no, it's not his game anymore. This is all other filmmakers. So, and I don't really think. I think they also run the risk of him
45.
complaining.
We're at 45 for A New Hope, right? Fredo, I think you mentioned that earlier. And it's interesting to me, like they don't even like mention that in any of this schedule at all. There's no kind of 45 years for A New Hope.
But they want people to buy into the new stuff that they're doing. I think when A New Hope reaches 50, if George Lucas is still alive, they'll have something for the 50th. But it's like, yeah, I don't. That, like I said, you run the risk of him like shooting his mouth off and complaining about something. You know what I mean? Because
kids.
Well, here's my original script for the sequel trilogy,
which gets back to me wanting to see I'd rather see Pete Townsend in Preservation Hall than with the Who on Jazz Fest stage. I would rather see George Lucas like lose his cool on stage and start rambling like old man George Lucas than about anything. I think that'd be fun. So yeah, that's Celebration. So let me ask you guys, final question. If it was, affordable, because there's lodging and, lodging considerations and travel considerations. And if there wasn't COVID and stuff like this, does that sound like something that you would have an enjoyable weekend?
I think so. I think I'd love to. I'd love to do it at least once, because usually when you do conventions, it's a lot of the stuff that goes around the big events that kind of makes it like I say, the exhibit hall, all the other panels, running into all the people in concert. So it's the experience more than anything.
Well, they do have a podcasting stage, so maybe we could audition for a slot.
I like that. Yeah.
Where is Celebration next year? Do you know, or next time?
I have no idea.
Okay, so they haven't announced anything yet, I guess.
I have a feeling that they're going to be bouncing back and forth between Anaheim and Orlando.
Europe? Oh.
Because, well, and there will be some in Europe as well, but they're going to be bouncing where they have their Disney parks so people can go and spend more money at the Mouse. I mean, not to be cynical about it, but, that's probably what they're probably not going to go back to Chicago in April when it was snowing. It's even though I liked it, but yeah. So, well, all right.
The other thing I'll say too, I'm with Fredo. It's on the bucket list. This particular iteration of it, I'd be fine with it. If I had decided this is the year I'm going, I wouldn't be disappointed with this lineup. And just for the record, it's $75 a day, basically. And unless you get the Jedi package, which is like $900 for the whole
Let's remind
weekend.
everybody what is Jazz Fest today?
90.
85?
90. No, it's 90 a day.
Okay.
90 a day, except for Locals Thursday, which is 50.
So
right.
I mean, if you look at it that way, you're probably, I don't know, but
other than the travel costs, and that kind of
lodging.
stuff that goes into it, but
we could do a
$75
Who Dat Jedi
a head.
road trip. We could do a Who Dat Jedi road trip, and
Or better yet, convince Lucasfilms to do Celebration New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'll throw another Fanboys reference in this week. You get the van from Fanboys and drive cross country. There you go.
Find some guy to give you peyote. All right. Well, with that, we will say, Who Dat?
Who Dat?
Everybody have a great week.
McClunky.